Thousands took to the streets across the Philippines on Sunday to protest the alleged misuse of government funds meant for flood control projects that never materialized.
Manila police say they arrested at least 72 protesters following pockets of clashes which erupted. More than 30,000 marched in the capital. The demonstrations were largely peaceful before some hurled rocks at security personnel, triggering dozens of injuries on both sides.
The Marcos administration condemned what it called criminals hijacking peaceful protests. The protest marks the latest opposing graft that's already cost the jobs of the Senate leader and House Speaker and prompted the creation of an independent commission to investigate any wrongdoings.
And for more insight on the protests and graft over flood control funding in the Philippines, let's speak with Professor Dennis Coronacion. He's chair at the Political Science Department at the University of Santo Tomas. Professor, good to have you on the show this morning. Thank you very much. I want to start by asking you about what President Marcos has done so far. He's established an independent commission, and we know that the Senate President as well as the House Speaker have both resigned. So why hasn't that been enough to appease protesters, you think?
Well, that's because I think the protesters have not seen enough yet. They don't feel satisfied with what the president has done so far. The protesters are expecting that after the investigations, those responsible, those government officials and contractors who are responsible for this corruption mess would be put in jail. And I think it's been several weeks already, and the people have not seen anyone who has gone to jail yet.
Okay, so not enough being done at this point. But is President Marcos Jr. himself a target? Or would you describe this as a broader protest focused on eruption? Because the president, himself highlighted the issue. And he also went on to visit at least one project that didn't exist physically. So did he shoot himself in the foot, at the State of the Union address? Or was he, trying to head off a problem that he foresaw?
Yes, you're right about that. He was the one who called out the lawmakers during his State of the Nation address that they should be ashamed of what they did, especially with regard to the flood control projects that were inserted into the 2025 national budget. But you're right in pointing out that this could have been a political suicide for the president, since at the moment there are some sectors in the Philippines who think that the president should be responsible as well, since he signed the 2025 national budget. So many are thinking that he must have seen those insertions beforehand, and what did he do about it? So, there are those sectors who think that he too should be responsible. But I think insofar as the optics is concerned, the president might not be held responsible because he was the one who exposed this kind of practice in this year's national budget. So I think the people are divided as to whether or not the president should be held responsible. There is also fear among the Filipinos that should the president heed the call to step down, they are afraid. There are some Filipinos who are afraid that the vice president is going to take over because that's according to the Constitution. That if the president resigns, the vice president is going to take over. And many do not like that kind of scenario because they think that the vice president is also, guilty of committing her own corrupt practices.
Okay, Professor, there are many quite surprised about such a massive graft. How is it possible, given the scale of this corruption involving billions of dollars and multiple government agencies? What sort of institutional weaknesses does this reveal about the current system?
Well, it exposes that that corruption is being done in the government on a systemic level, meaning to say it does not happen in one agency alone, but it involves a lot of government officials from different offices. Like in this case, lawmakers were caught in cahoots with the public works officials, and also some contractors who were given preferential status or treatment. So, what's obvious about this is that this has not happened overnight, meaning to say it has been going on ever since. The focus of the investigations right now is on on the year when the current president came to power, that's in 2022 until 2025. But there are some evidence pointing out that this must have been happening as early as 2016. So the very long period that has taken place has given ample time and knowledge and experience for the perpetrators of this crime to to find a way to undermine to circumvent the anti-corruption measures that are in
Right.
place.
Okay.
There is no lack of anti-corruption measures here, but they were able to find a way to circumvent these measures.
Understood. I mean, I come across, some reports that suggest many Filipinos believe corruption is entrenched in the system. So, the confession from two construction company owners that they paid bribes, I understand, wasn't a total surprise. But having said that, are you surprised by the number of lawmakers that they implicated? Now, the Discayas, the couple, say 17 representatives wanted kickbacks. That comes up to about 25% for each contract cost.
Well, I'm not surprised at all because the source of this corruption is the national budget, and that the lawmakers are the ones responsible for creating the annual budget. So this is every year, and the lawmakers are the ones who are authorized to create the national budget. And those who are, those who are the corrupt officials, the corrupt lawmakers, have found a way to misuse these portions of the national budget, especially those that are allotted for infrastructure projects. And the bad thing about it is that during the course of the investigation so far, there is no hard evidence that can link them to this corruption scandal.
Okay, Professor, you earlier said not enough has been done to quell the anger. And when you look at the demands by protesters, they're asking for freedom of information, anti-dynasty laws, and so on. What reforms are realistically achievable out of this crisis?
Yeah, if there's anything that this corruption issue has shown, it's the fact that the system has so many flaws and requires a lot of reforms. It's not just about just about instituting more and stringent measures to fight corruption, but also political reforms and electoral reforms. Because if we're going to look at the background of these lawmakers who are involved in this corruption scandal, they are members of most of them are members of political dynasties. And based on so many studies, political dynasties in this country have done a lot of bad things, so that to undermine the system. And I think that should be, if the goal is to come up with a long-term reform, one of the goals should be to institute political reforms and electoral reforms to see to it that they will be marginalized. I mean, they would not have gained enough power or entrench themselves in the government so as to commit so many wrongdoings.
Okay, Professor, we have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your thoughts with us this morning. Professor Dennis Coronacion is chair of the Political Science Department at the University of Santo Tomas.